It's Friday night, and we are live at the Pontificator Show. I'm RT Bear. We have Zach Bradley. We have Joe Albino Thunderbuns Fulton, and then we have the man just known as Todd Mel Rooney. How you doing, Todd Mel Rooney?
Oh, I'm doing really good. How about you? Did you have a good week?
Oh my gosh, it was a great week. I got a lot of things done. You guys ever just seem like you didn't do anything all week, and then it's Friday and you start doing inventory on all the things you actually did get done that didn't think you got done, and you're just like, wow, man, I kicked ass.
Well, it's a nice surprise when that happens.
Yeah, that's the kind of week I had. So thanks for asking, Todd. So how you guys been?
Doing really good. Doing really good. My project launched this week and it's kicking butt, and I am overly excited about what the possibilities could be for this project in the future, especially with the reception I'm getting. It's been extremely positive compared to the last campaign I did. So I'm just excited. I'm just very excited.
Well, Goma, you have over 20 backers, and you're at 1260 as far as your dollar amount. So that's really cool. And you just launched it the other day. So that's great, Zach. So congratulations. So Joe, what kind of week? How you been?
I've been pretty good. Kind of week where got a lot of family stuff taken care of. I think I mentioned last week that we had a health crisis in the family pop up last year, and we've been dealing with that ever since then. And there was a time a few months ago where we thought things were really going in a great direction, and then they kind of went downhill again. But we turned a corner, and things are good. All systems are go, and so that was really cool to find out.
Oh, great! So good news there as well. So how about you, Todd Mel Rooney? How are you?
Doing really good. Can I say something real quick about Zach and Golma and stuff like that?
Oh, of course.
Listen, anytime, and hopefully, this is probably the first time I'll ever be kind of critical of Zach, because I always give him nothing but love. But if this guy ever figures out color harmony, color theory, and like this storytelling takes a leap, he'll never look back, and all of us will be working for him. You know what I mean? But
so you're saying that at that point, Zach will have kicked all of our asses?
Yes, exactly, is what I'm saying. Exactly.
I'm never going to leave you guys behind.
His work is really, really good now, but if he gets that color theory to the degree of showing like depth and stuff like that, which he's like, I'm seeing right now in this avatar. Look at the depth in that. He perfectly did it. Like there's just if his pages turn out like as good as they're looking now, it's just off to the races.
So one more book and we're all decimated. We're all
I would never leave you all behind. This is the thing that even Jason Robinson, who's working with NASA right now on a comic, he keeps saying that too, that I'm going to leave you guys all behind. And I'm like, no, I'm never going to leave you guys behind. I've never left anybody behind. I've never had the luxury of leaving anybody behind, but I don't leave people behind. I'm never too good for you guys. I'm never going to be too good. I just want to be successful enough to make sure that my family's okay. And if I can reach that point, I will be humbly grateful and happy. I don't take a lot. I play too many video games. I'm not that ambitious to leave people behind.
Well, you might not have a choice. You might be so busy that you forget about Todd, Joe, and I.
No.
Well, you guys heard it here, man. So when this guy is big on, big time comic book creator, he's not going to leave us behind. So that's good, man. We'll call you on that.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know how I can leave behind legends like you are. I don't know how could, I have to first get to your level before I can leave you behind. I don't see myself at any time soon. You've got like at least 20 years on me as far as doing comics, so I've got a lot to catch up on.
Well, thank you for the kind words, young one. But we'll see how it all plays out. Also, Todd, man, Todd sends me pages on the side there, and holy crap, man, Todd, you are really talented as well.
Yeah, and those Florida men
Thank
pages,
you.
man, looking really good.
You know, I really had to sort of like cerebral it, right? Like the Florida man thing is doesn't slot in anywhere. It's not superheroes, obviously. It's not this. It's not that. It really doesn't slot in. So I had to find an approach. And remember, I told you, like, I added that character in and stuff like that. And Mike called me earlier in the week, and he's like, Todd, are you planning on writing this book? I was like, oh, fuck.
And what'd you say?
You added a major character to the plot. And I'm like, look, this scene without him is just dead, right? Think about it. He's just on a stakeout. He's looking to get a picture of some guy doing something nefarious. Without that guy's reaction, really doesn't work. You know what I mean? And so I really had to, like, he eventually said, all right, well, then we're going to have to put him in page. He started looking at the script. We're going to have to put him in page 8. And I have to have him gone by this page. So, it all worked out.
Todd needs a contract now, ownership of this character. So when the film happens, you'll have a piece of it.
Todd knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does. Hey, so you want to get into the subject at hand? I know Todd's uncomfortable with this. I don't think any of us are really like overly, like, yay, let's talk about this. But I think it is good to talk about. And there is a culture war that's going on, whether we want to admit it or not. I don't know exactly how many people are affected by it, like, as far as mainstream people, or if it's just kind of, comic book people in the know, or, video game people. Type of thing, geek culture stuff, but there definitely is, and this is a really this will illustrate exactly when people say a culture war is happening. This is what it is. So if anybody hasn't heard, and I'm going to let Zach and Joe get into the details, but if anybody hasn't heard, there's a really terrific artist. His name is Sean Gordon Murphy. A very, very talented guy, very inspiring. I look at his work and I'm very inspired by it. And he's doing a big DC like universe thing. I guess he's just going to create it. They call it like the Sean Gordon Murphy universe and other things, but I think they're going to have to work on that title. But you get the idea. He's going to create or recreate the DC universe in his, with his vision. And so he apparently is really good friends with Doug TenNapel, the Bigfoot Bill creator, Earthworm Jim creator. And so Doug TenNapel launched his Bigfoot Bill 2 campaign a few weeks ago, and he had Sean Gordon do a cover. So I don't know exactly what their relationship is, friendship, but usually, I mean, you have to know somebody pretty well for them to give you a piece of artwork for your campaign. So Sean did a killer, cover of Bigfoot Bill. Bigfoot Bill's on a motorcycle. It's really cool. And so then Doug launched his campaign, No Harm, No Foul. So apparently, what do we call them, Joe? Tweedledee, Tweedledum, some SJWs?
Yeah, we're going to say that the one that went after Sean first is Tweedledee.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one that went after Blake Northcott is Tweedledum.
Okay, so Zach prefaced the show with, we shouldn't give these people power by saying their names, and I agree. So that's how we're going to refer to them for the chat for this Pontificators. And so, long story short, they basically put a bunch of pressure on Sean Gordon Murphy for doing this cover for Doug. I guess they don't like Doug's politics, so they went after Sean and tried to hurt Doug through Sean, and then Doug. Sean is just he's just collateral damage, I guess, at this point. They're going to hurt Doug by hurting Sean, and so then what happened is they just pulled the cover from the campaign. So Sean Gordon Murphy's cover will not be part of the campaign anymore. So anybody who's backed that or anybody that was excited about that are going to be disappointed now. And now Doug's got a little bit of a dilemma on his hands. How does he keep his backers happy and so forth? So the problem being for me is just that when you attack a man's livelihood and you go to this extent, I think you defeat your purpose. But I'm gonna kind of let Joe and Zach take the spotlight. So I don't know who wants to speak first, but they're gonna fill you in on some of the details.
Well, just as a disclaimer for the actual message, because some people thought that the message that Sean did was kind of like a backhanded statement towards Doug. The thing is that Doug was on with Mike Miller just a few hours ago, and he clarified that Sean showed the tweets exactly what he was going to say this morning. It was actually a few days ago when it first started. He showed the tweets to Doug. He's like, should I do it? And he didn't even actually say like, should I do this? Doug was like, if you want to pull it off, if you want to take it down, that's okay. Doug gave him permission to do that before, and he said, go sleep on it. And then the next morning, Sean was like, okay, we're going to pull it off. And Doug was completely okay with it. So this was a completely mutual thing between them. There's no hard feelings. Okay. Doug talked about that in length earlier. And other than what Sean said, that, hey, basically, I wasn't in, that I was, he mentions basically that, because Doug is outwardly conservative and does not support gay marriage and whatnot, that he is getting pressure from DC and Doug thought that when he said DC that he meant specifically Jim Lee. So Doug went on, and I don't think it was exactly the smartest thing, but Doug totally redacted and retracted himself after confirming that Jim Lee had nothing to do with it, because he actually contacted Jim Lee and had a discussion with Jim Lee too.
Well, from what I understand, DC hasn't really confirmed anything. They haven't had a press release or anything, right? They haven't spoken out one way or another about this, right?
Yeah, but we don't know exactly. The only person that really knows where the pressure came from and the fear of Sean losing his deal is Sean at this point, and none of us know exactly what happened that made him decide that was the right course to take. But I have to be on the side of I'm totally okay with the decision made based on the fact that it was a mutual decision between the two creators, that this would, in order to preserve their friendship, in order to preserve their livelihoods, that this was the action that they needed to take in order to preserve it, because you cannot win against these people fighting on their own turf. You just cannot do it. Twitter is and social media is, and the internet just in general, is just the place you cannot win against trolls like that. You just can't. You could have the facts, you could have the moral up ground, and you could be completely correct, and it doesn't matter, because these people don't care that you're right. They only care about how much damage they can do. And it's already been proven that they can do an extreme amount of damage to just insinuating things, having no proof. They can tear people's livelihoods through the ground. And in order to prevent that, because no one wants to see Sean get torn through the mud that way. He doesn't deserve it. He's such a nice guy, and he is such a great creator, and no one wants to see that. But this also kind of proves that DC doesn't really like the fact that Tweedledee works for DC, right? Right, Joe?
I don't know if she is or not.
Or is she just a comics creator because I thought she actually had like she had connections in that industry.
Well, she definitely does. The problem is she tends to get blacklisted wherever she pops up. So she's worked freelance for quite a few different publishers, but she's been such a problem wherever she's gone that once she leaves a place, she tends not to get welcomed back there. So I honestly don't know what she's up to other than causing trouble on Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, it's just it kind of brings us back to when the fact that it feels like DC doesn't care about comics anymore because they're just a tax write-off, and we've had this discussion before. Because literally, it feels like Sean is the only person there making quality work, consistent quality work that people want to buy.
Well, let me address this. Yeah, before things go crazy in the chat. Yeah, this has nothing to do with Jim Lee. His name just came up, and I think somebody in the chat brought up Jim Lee. I don't think there's any official confirmation one way or another from DC about this. And I don't think Jim Lee did anything. So I don't think there's any story where Jim Lee said this or did that. So I don't think Jim has anything to do with this unless anybody in the panel here has any insight on that.
Just a little bit. There was a dust up, well, among many on Twitter today because Doug went directly to Jim on Twitter and was calling him out. And the long and short of it is that Doug had misunderstood something that Sean had told him, thinking that Jim had called Sean specifically to talk about the Bigfoot Bill 2 cover. It turns out that, according to Doug, and if anybody wants to look it up on Twitter, they can. But essentially, Doug says that Sean told him he spoke with Jim because Jim had called him directly, but it was about other quote-unquote SJW pressures, but not specifically the Bigfoot Bill 2 cover. So then a little bit later in the day, this all happened today, the 6th. So a little bit later in the day, Doug went to Twitter and issued a public apology to Jim Lee. And as far as I know, that was the end of Jim's quote-unquote involvement, which was really non-involvement, as it turns out.
Okay, so Doug just kind of brought Jim into the equation based on something that wasn't true.
That's my understanding of it, based on the Twitter traffic today.
Okay.
Between Doug, Jim, Sean. Yeah, I think that was it.
So I hope that helps Anthony in the chat. That was a good question. So I just wanted to kind of nix that before, how these things take on a life of their own. So do we have anything to add? I mean,
other than our anger and our frustration, the fact that just it feels like none of us are safe doing the things that we love to do, and I guess the only way to combat what's going on is just to not give them life, basically. So I guess the parting thought would be, if this happens to you, don't give them any room to breathe. Just let them get their anger out. Say thank you for your concern or whatever. Treat it with kindness, because I guarantee you, no matter what anybody says to you, they could be the meanest thing. If you just treat them with kindness, they have no power over you. Even that even goes for Twitter, and that goes for the internet. So if this happens to you, just kill them with kindness.
Yeah. Well, how do you guys feel about this? Like Junkyard Dunn says, I LOL'd at people saying that Sean became a good, decent person by throwing his friend under the bus. So I guess Sean kind of had to backpedal a little bit. And I'm not sure if it was an official apology, but he did say something along those lines, right? A little bit of song and dance to try to get some of this SJW LGBT heat off of his back.
Well, I mean, that goes back to the fact that Sean showed Doug what he was going to say before he posted it. So I don't think he's throwing on, you'd have to go behind someone's back in order to throw him under the bus, really, So I don't think that it's technically really throwing him under the bus as much as it's like, sorry, dude, And the thing was that Doug was okay with it. Doug was like, no, I'm not going to I don't want to put you in jeopardy, dude, because I've already been there.
Right.
And that's very much what his reaction was when he was talking to Mike. It's like, I did not want to put Sean's career and his potential for this Murphyverse in jeopardy. And I told him, no, that's fine. We can drop the cover. I don't want you to get hurt. You're my friend. And there's a preservation for your friends that you want to keep,
Right.
And
does anybody know what Sean said after this whole thing kind of, the cover was pulled down and everything? He did say something, right? He was apologetic. Does he have that?
He has a 3-part apology. But it just literally says, I've taken, I hear what you're saying. I've taken down the cover, and it's not. It just says exactly what they want. The Tweedledum wants Tweedledee and Tweedledum. So it's just, I don't know. I don't want to bring it up because I don't want to show the names of the people.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that I can add. As far as insight goes, one is that I read all of the tweets from Sean, Doug, Jim, and Blake Northcott earlier, and we can get into how she's involved in a few minutes, because I think it's a good point. What Zach was saying earlier about dealing with people who are trying to pull you into stuff like this, whether it's on Twitter or some other platform. And I think Blake handled it exactly the way a pro should, or anyone really. But as far as the insight with Sean and what Junkyard Dunn had said, I just want to point out that in Sean's tweets, he had talked about having friends and family members who were LGBT, and that he had thought about, the cover and what people were telling him about Doug, supposedly being this or that against LGBT people. And he essentially said that he didn't think that he could, in good conscience, be associated with a creator who was, vocally, publicly saying stuff against LGBT people. And, there are plenty of people out there on Twitter who have screenshots of stuff that Doug has said, and apparently that convinced Sean that Doug qualified as anti-LGBT. Now, whether Doug would agree with that or not, I'm not here to speak on Doug's behalf, but just based on what Sean said, it seemed that he felt like he was between a rock and a hard place, between either A, having to defend his friend who has this public track record of saying inflammatory things, or B, standing up for his friends and family who you could argue would be the subject, quote unquote, of said public statements. So I think from Sean's standpoint, it was a lose-lose proposition, and he seemed to take the option that seemed the best, but that doesn't mean he thought it was necessarily a good one.
Yeah, rock in a hard place. I just don't know how I feel about the apology part, you know.
Oh, I agree.
That's where I have a little bit of problem, and I'm not saying that I wouldn't do it, and I'm not in that situation, so I'm not gonna like right and wrong this conversation, or like, you know, oh, he was good or he was bad. I just think that there is a fundamental problem that exists where we have such a minority or a small group of people that are already part of a small group that then put a lot of pressure on a bigger group to do what they want. And I think that becomes a problem. I'm talking kind of cryptically on purpose, but the reason is that this is why you don't apologize and you don't backpedal. And I think companies, bigger companies, people, like even creative people like ourselves, not that we want to fight, not that we want tension, not that we want any crap to come down on us, but if you double down or you bend the knee and apologize, sometimes it gives those people strength. And the more we do it, as a society, as a collective, we're giving power to like really small-minded people, you know, the Tweedledees and Tweedledums of the world, and we're giving them undeserved power over our own destinies, man. I mean, I feel for Sean. Like, what a effed up place to be. All he wanted to do is help out a friend and do a kick-ass cover. That's all. It wasn't evil. It wasn't like, you know what I mean? There wasn't any master plan to screw anybody over or anything. It really was just an innocent, you know, hey man, you want to do a cover? Sure, I'll do a cover. You know, they didn't have any bigger LGBT plans like to destroy somebody or a big, you know, like I don't know, like what do you call it, agenda that they were trying to work towards. I really think it was just as simple as, hey, I'm just going to do a cover, you know, and then they posted it, and then the backers got excited about it and wanted to back the Sean Gordon Murphy Bigfoot Bill cover. Like, it's not evil, man. It's not sinister. It's not any of those things. But the Tweedledees and the Tweedledums of America, of the world, like turn these things into like these evil, disgusting, twisted ideas, and they think for people, and they put motives into their heads and into the ether out there, and then they put pressure on, you know, our higher ups, and want blood. And the problem is they scream for a sacrificial lamb, like there has to be blood. Somebody has to pay for this. Listen, man, we all have our own points of view. We all have different ways of looking at things, and people, you know, like situations that we're comfortable with, things we're not, people we like, people we don't like, beliefs that we're comfortable with, beliefs that we're uncomfortable with. Like everybody's like that. We all have like pluses and minuses, but the difference with the SJWs or the extremists of the world is that they're not just comfortable with like, hey, look at that freak show or look at that weirdo and then move on. They're like, no, that person's in opposition to us. We need to destroy them. And that is where the danger lies. Like, if you just want to say, Doug's a loudmouth and he shoots his mouth off and he says some crazy stuff about his beliefs and things, and they offend me, well, then fine, just say that. But don't go after that guy. Don't go to a company and don't go after his vendors and his friends and other people like that, and then try to worm your way, your cancer into their way of thinking, so that person then has to react. Like Sean Gordon Murphy was just a guy that was rocking a hard place, you know, like all he wanted to do is help out a friend. That's all, you know.
But it's never been easier to be in that position of power than it is today. It's the strangest thing in the world, you know, because I remember, you know, anything before the internet, really, you know, if things happened, you know, consumers, other artists, everybody, you know, there was like no connection there, you know, the way we're doing what we're doing right now. how I'm able to talk to Art to Bear, Joe, and Todd is just in mind-boggling cool, but it's being used in this very, very evil way. And that is giving people that should probably not have a voice, and it allows them to spread that cancer in such a crazy way, you know. And as much as I love the internet, I also hate it because of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, people like Tweedledee and Tweedledum are networked up and down the mainstream and independent segments of the industry. So we were talking earlier about Blake Northcott, and it wasn't enough for Tweedledee and the swarm that she rounded up to go after Sean Murphy. There were, I'm guessing this was when Tweedledum decided to try and round up a swarm to go after Blake Northcott. I'm sure there was coordination there based on the way we've seen those two in particular and a lot of their friends in general act. But I think Blake responded perfectly. And anybody can look up Blake Northcott's Twitter timeline to see exactly what we're talking about. But essentially, she said, there's this targeted harassment campaign that has been sent after me, and I just like all of my followers to know that I don't want anybody responding to them in any way, because what they really want is attention, and I prefer not to give them any.
Mm-hmm.
And then as things progressed, there was a follow-up to that, but it essentially reinforced the same point. So that was one that I retweeted because I thought it was a great example for people to show that if you you starve a fire of oxygen and the fire goes out. But two, if it's a situation where you feel like you really do need to respond because your reputation is being called into question, or there's some other potential harm to your business and you feel like you need to respond, I think the way that Blake did it was perfect. You acknowledge that it's there, but you don't give the perpetrators what it is they're looking for.
Right. Bleeding Cool did like this kind of, what do they call it, hatchet piece on me, because I had the nerve to talk about, being fired from Marvel and told that I'd never work there again. And so they kind of used as an opportunity to do an article. And the thing is, they wrote their article. Was it Johnson? What is his name?
Rich Johnston.
Yeah. And so, him and I were talking, emailing back and forth, and I was trying to kind of guide him in some of the in the things that he was saying. And this was before the article went up, and he didn't really, he took some of them under advisement, but not the more like the ones that were going to be salacious, not those ones. And so he did what he did. And then, this community or whatever, I don't want anybody going and defending me or like threatening people or anything. But apparently this community kind of went and spoke out in my behalf to this Rich Johnson at Bleeding Cool. And then there was pressure on Rich, because they were saying that, basically he was lying, and that I forget what law was broken. He basically said that DC hired me to kind of steal talent from Marvel and bring them over to DC. And this Rich Johnson said he had proof, but he didn't have proof because it never happened. And so there was some law broke there. I can't remember what it was. But you can't say that like a company, use somebody to steal talent. Apparently, I forget which law it is, but there is a law. So then, Rich emails me now, and he's like, these guys are coming after me. So now he's kind of like, oh, geez, oh my gosh, what's happening? Ooh, like he's the victim, like he's the innocent guy that just is being victimized now. And so he's saying all these things, and I just said, listen, I have no control over people. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they're doing it or anything like that. But I'm not going to go and publicly say, hey, everybody, stop doing this. Or whatever it is. And then he said, well, I'll write something. Maybe we can do an interview or so. And I said, no. I said, you and I are done. I kind of like whoever said the fire thing about like just starving the oxygen. This is why I was thinking of this, is like you just have to kind of smother it. So, I mean, I could have drugged this out. I mean, this could have been a drama for a week or so, back and forth, and we could have got into it. But the thing is, I knew where it was going, and I just kind of I just wanted my YouTube, when I talked to people and I shared that story, I just wanted it to be that. I didn't want it to be anything more, So I told him, I said, no, we're done here. And that was my exact words. And to his, whatever he did stop it. So it went no further, but I'm sure it could have gotten out of control pretty quickly and things like that. But yeah, I retweeted that too, Joe, with Blake Northcott. I thought that was a really God, what's the word for it? Like she just kind of went against the grain. Like she didn't play it up for like likes or hits or anything like that. She kind of just like, just nixed it, and then moved on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, for us, this isn't a game. For rational people, this isn't a game. This is our lives. This is what we do, and it feels like these people don't have lives and they treat it like a game, and you got to admit though, like when you play a video game, when you crush somebody, you really crush somebody and it feels good. In a video game where it doesn't matter and they're treating it like that,
yeah,
it's visual and they're not in front of us, and if they were to say those things in front of us, we'd probably give them a black eye, and it's that protection. But for rational people who see it as what it is this is our business, this is how we're connecting with people, this is how we're connecting with our fans and our customers, this is how we're going to figure out what we're going to do. And we're treating this very seriously. And
yeah, this is how we feed our families. This is how we keep a roof over our heads. Yes.
Yeah. So when these people come, they're attacking our livelihoods, or they're actually affecting our real life, not just our virtual avatar, So it's like, do I agree that Sean backed down off of the cover? My personal opinion is that I wish he hadn't. And that's just, because I don't think you should give in to those people, period, and yeah. That's just my personal opinion, but he could do whatever he wants. It's his stuff. And if Doug's okay with it, then I have no, whatever. I'm really happy that Blake handled it in such a professional way. She's always been a professional though, all of her work and everything. That's why she's going to be doing, she's going to be working with Sean, is because she's a professional. And when she's online, she's like, this is my life. I'm a professional. So.
Well, do you guys know do you feel that Sean Gordon Murphy knew, because this brings up an interesting point and we can talk about it. Do you think that Sean Gordon Murphy knew what Doug was all about?
Yeah, I don't think that's important though.
Well, it is. It could be important.
No, I think he did, and you gotta, if you look at his circle of friends, people, they're not that far from there. Obviously you work at a place like DC, you're gonna kind of toe a line, right? But as far as how they think and they're not, and I'm not talking about the LGBT stuff. I don't mean that. But as far as comics and doing brutal comics and not catering to 1% of the population with nonsense and agenda, they're like that. and you know those guys. I mean, you know there are guys like that. That please don't ask me to write, like bisexual Spider-Man. Please don't ask me to do this.
Or make Wolverine gay.
Right. So he's of that kind of thought. Like, these characters are sacred. They are what they are. They were created by much smarter men than me. I don't mess with them, and I take them where I can take them. And I only want it to be great places, but don't ask me to turn these characters into something or not. Or like he said, like, I want my characters, they're dead. And that's how I always felt as far as Gwen Stacy, like, why am I seeing so many Gwen Stacys all of a sudden? It's like, there's like, 4 of her. And that bugs me, that really bugs me, because that was a pivotal death. Without that death, Spider-Man isn't who he is. And it's as important as Ben's death, right? Ben's death sort of formed this idea in Spider-Man's head. And then he had to learn that, oh, that's what you mean by responsibility. They'll come after people I love.
Right.
And her death is so important. It's like, as far as comics go, it's like the death of Jesus. It's that important to the whole idea of what Spider-Man stands for. And then you go and you bring her back and this and that. Now
you trivialize it, yeah, and you make light of it. But can I? Because I was Zach said it wasn't that important about like whether Sean Gordon Murphy knew or not. And the only thing that I think is important to bring up is that most likely Sean did know. So that means that Sean, on some level, was okay with it. Like he might not have was 100% like, yes, I absolutely agree with everything that Doug has to say. But at the very least, he was still willing to just go, well, Doug's a friend. I don't agree on everything that he does and says, but we can still, friends and hang out and do this. So it is important if Sean Gordon Murphy probably did know, but aside from that, he was still okay with it. Like he, in a way, was just saying, even though maybe I don't agree, and I'm just putting words in Sean's mouth. I don't really know what happens or happened or what he thinks, but he probably was like, I agree on this, but I don't agree on that. Just like most people, we agree and then we agree to disagree, and then we still stay friends or lovers or whatever it is. And you just learn that, everybody has their own points of view and everybody shares different points of view from yourself. Mm-hmm. So that's okay. So the reason I did want to bring this up is because on some level, you're talking about inclusionism and all these things that the extreme, like the SJWs or those types, always preach. Well, Sean was exercising all those things. Like he was like, even though, maybe I don't agree with all of, Doug's things, but I'm still his friend. I'm still hanging out with him. I'm still doing work with him. So isn't that a better example to have in life? That even though they have differences, probably, I mean, most people do, but they still work together and they did some terrific stuff together. And then somebody who had nothing to do with this process comes in and then decides that there was some kind of, like somebody's evil and that they should be destroyed or hurt somehow. Like that's why I brought it up, Zach.
And it's very high school what's going on. If you think about it, it's just like as you're saying, like, in high school there's cliques, but if you notice, there's always going to be those kids that are floaters, and I was one where I had friends in every clique and everything, and I would hang out with whoever I felt like hanging out with during that day, and it didn't matter if they were a jock or a rocker or whatever, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever was going on, it didn't matter. I had friends everywhere. And and for me, it never mattered what you were into, what your orientation was, what skin color you are, or what sex you are. It doesn't matter. If and so it's just like this is like a trivial issue that I think is affecting real life in such a weird way like these people need to grow up and get out of their high school mentality and be welcome to the real world.
Well, we can have
they need to wake up.
Yeah, we can have differences of opinions. My wife and I don't agree on everything, but as long as there's still respect there, that's fine. But as soon as you take it to that next step, and then you're saying, if you don't agree with me, then I'll destroy you.
Yeah.
That's the scary aspects of this. And this is why I speak out against this, because that's the part that scares the shit out of me, man. Because I don't care if somebody disagrees with me or not. That's fine. You know, whatever. I don't agree with you either. You know what I mean? Like, it's a two-way street. But the thing is, this kind of activity is, to me, is really scary, and it borderlines insanity. We have Donald Delay in the chat. Hey, Donald, what's up? I think the entire thing is less conspiratorial than anyone thinks. And he was doing right by his actual friends, loyal. Yeah, exactly. But he's not fighting our war. So let's jump to he bent a knee. So how do you guys feel about this?
Well, I think that the irony here is, let's just hypothetically say that Sean knew Doug's stance on LGBT, however many letters you want to put on there. Wouldn't it be the very definition of tolerance for Sean to know that about Doug and not condone it, but also not condemn Doug outright?
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, well, I think you did
better than I did. But yeah, exactly. I agree.
Let's remember that Doug's belief on this stems from his Christianity. Well, it was Christianity or Catholicism. I mean, I know it's a religious thing. You just, and the Bible says, "Man shall not lay with man," and that's where he's at with it.
Yeah, but the thing
maybe it'll be, and maybe in some way he'll be convinced otherwise. You know what I mean? Maybe somebody will go, I don't think, I don't know. I don't know how to put it, but I mean, maybe somewhere along the way, it'll affect him personally, and then his view might change.
Well, so Todd, I just from having talked to Doug about this, as a Christian, it's not that he's not homophobic.
No,
he's not against people being gay and whatnot. What his thing was is that marriage is a very deep. It's all about the marriage thing. He was against gay marriage because he was like, I don't care what you guys do, because we don't judge the sinner. We don't even judge. We're not qualified. We admit that we are sinners too. We are not qualified to judge anybody by any means possible. I am not going to sit here and tell you if you're a good or bad person. I am just equally as evil as the next guy. But the thing was is that he, marriage is viewed as such such a sacred thing, because there's when you become a Christian, you basically are married. It's a simile or a metaphor for being married to the church. So it carries a deeper meaning, the marriage as a symbol. And so when you want to bring something that's considered to be a sin into something that's supposed to be so sacred, that's when you get the explosion of people being so, that's when you get crazy Christians exploding, because they get angry, and I have to say that Doug, the way he handled that, he exploded, like most of them did, so it's just, and he's not homophobic though, and they make that connection though. They're like, oh, he's a good gay marriage, so he must be homophobic.
In entertainment, and usually there's so much acceptance when you meet so many different types of people. I worked in entertainment, and that's where my understanding of a lot of this, as far as the community and stuff like that, and the friends that I had, that's where that came from, was working in entertainment. And my views might have been different when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But they changed after so much love and acceptance of friendships.
Yeah, it's just love your neighbor. It's love your neighbor as yourself, and that's why I said it's like, you know, never treat your enemies with anger. Treat them with love. I will never, like, I don't put people down. I just don't. I refuse to become part of that. I'd rather be part of a solution, and I'm never going to put people down. And that's why I want to think the better of the situation. Like, I want to think. That's why I want to defend Sean, even though I don't agree with his decision, because I'm like, you know, if Doug is okay with it and Sean, if they came to an agreement, like, you know, as friends, you know, that they came to an agreement of like, hey, let's not jeopardize your future or my, you know, well, Doug, you know, he's like my future, whatever. But you know, Sean, you have a bright future ahead of you. I don't want you to jeopardize it by these toxic people.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they're the only two that matter, because they're the only two that were involved, is Sean and Doug. So if they're good, then we're fine. You know, end of story. But the thing is, you know, then you have the bend the knee, the apology. You know, Sean kind of having to, you know, backpedal and kind of ask for forgiveness. I mean, how do you guys feel?
That's Sean, though. That's just going to be on Sean. That's nothing to do with us, you know, and it doesn't have anything to do with Doug, you know, and that's just all on him at this point. You know, if it hits him, that hits him, you know, but he's responsible for that. There's nothing we can do, you know. You know, we know, having all experienced the wrath of the insanity of the internet, where it feels like Sean is kind of new to this arena. He's about to learn, you know.
No. He's actually written tweets about this before.
Has he?
Yeah, where he said, you know, something about you go to a, I don't know, something. He paralleled Twitter and conventions. You go and you meet them, and we're at our best, and you know, we're talking to the fans.
Mm-hmm.
But you really want to get to know somebody, go look through their Twitter feed or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was something akin to that. I forget, but I remember him writing about this.
Yeah, and I know that Doug is working on. I just saw that thing you brought up. Doug is working really hard to try and figure out what he can do to all those people that, you know, bought the cover, to make it right. Yeah, I know he's going to be working his best to try and figure out how to make it right to all those people who purchased that cover. So just have faith that Doug is on it. He's going to try to do something as equally good, if not better. So just don't give up on the independent comics. Just please don't give up on us.
Yeah, because ultimately it had nothing to do with Doug and Sean. Really, it was an outside force that created this.
Yeah.
So if we want to, you know, look at it as they're the victims, they're the ones that have to pick up, you know, the slack, or, you know, put things back together after, you know, somebody went and, you know, smashed their sandcastle.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the problem with this stuff, is that, you know, it's not easy to create, and it only takes a couple minutes and a couple tweets to destroy. You know, there was at least a day that Sean, you know, Gordon Murphy put into that cover to do it, you know, and then there was all the hopes and dreams that Doug put into this thing to try to, you know, create a successful campaign. So this stuff doesn't just happen, you know, to these people that so easily and blithely just want to destroy these things. There's a lot that goes into this stuff. There's hours and hours, there's hopes, there's dreams. There's all kinds of things. And then like, I lost it now, but I had it up a minute ago. All the backers, you know, the backers that were like, this is a killer cover. You know, I want this thing. And then they got excited about it. You know, those guys got effed over too, because of these selfish people, the Tweedledum, you know, of their actions. So now a great cover, a piece of artwork, now doesn't get to see the light of day, you know, because these people, you know, nixed it and tarnished it and destroyed it. Like, how do they even look in the mirror and think like that they're doing the greater good? Yeah. Like, this is what boggles my mind. Like, you're exactly what you say that you're fighting against. You want inclusiveness, but yet, you're crucifying people that disagree with you. Like, you're only inclusive with certain people, the certain people that you like or that you deem, worthy, and then the rest be damned, and you're going to destroy them. This is insanity, man. I've been alive for 58 years, and I've never seen this kind of crap ever. Like, with society to this point of like, trying to get a creator hurt or destroy them or get them fired. This is crazy, man. You're going after a man's livelihood, people's dreams, people's hopes. Just for what? Like, what's your end game?
Just to see the world burn.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's this weird mentality that they think that if they can burn down everybody else's fun, that they can finally rise above it. But the thing is, they don't realize that if they destroy the infrastructure, there's nothing to be there for them to stand upon.
Well, if you want freedom of thought and freedom of speech, but yet you're going to shut people down, it's a two-way street. You can't have freedom of speech anymore, because if somebody doesn't have the freedom to oppose you and say things against you, then we don't have freedom. So it might not be something you want to hear, but it's a two-way street. You can't have it. You can't have it one-sided, because I guarantee you, if you get what you want, if these people got, the Orwellian world that they want, they're going to be the first to scream out and hate it, because right now they think they're on the right side of history. Well, what happens when history decides they don't like what they have to say?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm pretty sure that this has been going on throughout history. Like, nothing new is under the sun. I'm pretty sure, but we've just been hit a peak where they can have a voice that if they screech loud enough, like, they can get heard, which is crazy to say, But I think this has been going on forever. Just they finally figured out a way to tip it in their favor, where it's actually affecting people's lives, and they don't just get angry anymore.
Like, was it Jan Harps? There's been like a couple people like that worked for Marvel, like Greg Brooks or whatever. There was one guy that murdered somebody while he was working at Marvel, and there was some guy that was a child molester. And both cases, like, Marvel just put out a press release and said, that guy was just a freelancer. We didn't really know who he was. We just hired him for a job. And that's that, condolences to, whoever. And so I think that's as far as what a press release for these companies should be. Like how much further do you have to go? Do you even need to take action? I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you need to take action? Do activists have to then go, how dare you, Marvel, for hiring a child molester? Don't you do background checks? Don't you do whatever? Like, how could this happen? Well, shit happens, man. Life happens. You can't control people. People are still free to make good decisions and bad decisions. So to hold a company accountable for the action of an individual is absolutely absurd. And I think, like, companies kind of understood that more and shut people like that down quickly before they gave them power. But I think it has always existed, Zach. I mean, I do agree with you. But the thing is, there used to be pushback. I don't see as much pushback. I see, like, companies just caving almost instantly based on very little proof at all. They just cave because they think it's the right thing to do.
No, I don't even think it's the right thing to do, or they think it's the right thing to do. I was actually pondering on this really heavily today, because I was just pissed off this morning when I woke up and read what was going on. And I was like, how did it get to this point where these people have this power And the only thing I could think of is like, why would a company ever cave? They never caved before, Why would they start caving now? And I think they had a few breakthrough lawsuits, just some very key breakthrough lawsuits, the Me Too movement, things of that nature. They got companies terrified to oppose them because they saw that they could lose these cases. If people like make accusations, it puts companies in a very, very tight situation. And all they have to do is have one person that has, 2,000 followers, but just the right 2,000 followers to make enough noise on the web to really spark a lawsuit or something of that nature. So no one wants to be in that situation. No one wants to have a lawsuit.
You could smother it very easily. Just don't give it oxygen. Just don't give the fire oxygen. Just don't address it, and let it just fade away. The more you talk about it, the more power you give to it. And the only reason we're talking about it now is because the problem is deeper than just this one moment. This is kind of like, these are tip of the iceberg, type of arguments that, and discussions that we're having. Mm-hmm. And like, this cancel culture is real. And I just think that one of the other things, just to add to what you said, Zach, is that there is an indoctrination in the liberal media that I think there is an ideological shift. I think there is a battle that is being fought. And I think the reason why a lot of these companies are caving is because they might on some level agree with it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy though. When did news start reporting Twitter as a reliable source?
Or the internet in general.
Yes, yeah, the internet in general. Like, whenever that started, it was kind of like that was the beginning of the tipping of the iceberg. Is because as soon as they started letting pretty much anybody, because how many news like just today or yesterday, that one tweet that they did, and I forgot who it was. It was CNN or something, where they talked. They were like, Bloomberg could have given every American $1 million because they don't know how to do math. And they talked about that tweet like it was real on the news. And that's the problem right there.
Did you know that Jared Jones still writes Dragon Ball Z? He writes in prison. Can you imagine writing a kid's comic with that? What he went to prison for?
What did he go to prison for?
Child pornography.
Oh my gosh. So he's writing children's books.
He's writing I'm assuming Dragon Ball Z is written for a younger audience, because I really don't know, but he's still the current writer.
Published by who, Todd?
Viz Comics.
Oh my god.
This would be right up your alley.
Oh, man.
That is absurd and insane. There are so many talented writers. Why are we hiring those people?
And how do we know he's not still writing under a different name, maybe, too, somewhere else? I mean,
also, my thing is, they're behind bars. They're supposed to be closed off from society. That's the whole point of being locked up. If they still have a voice in society, then what's the point of locking them up?
Okay, when I was young, they said that Michael Golden was drawing Nam from jail. And I don't know, I never was able to confirm that. And I don't know why he would have been in jail, but
I also think it's like, what are you in jail for? Like not paying your taxes or, whatever, or, is it a murder charge or something, I don't want murderers and child molesters writing, these stories.
Right. Crazy stuff, huh?
Mm-hmm. But it's just...
So wait, I want to, I'm not sure, because I want to set some stuff straight. I don't know about DC meddling. I don't think they've officially said anything based on this. I think it was more just an idle threat that Tweedledee and Tweedledum made. And so I'm not sure what you mean by meddling, but I don't think DC had anything to do with this one way or another. I think it was more just to kind of just get out in front of it and just pull the cover so Sean could kind of keep moving forward without any baggage. And then Doug would just kind of have to, I guess, make things right with his backers. But I don't think DC had anything to do with this. They didn't threaten Sean or anything, did they?
No. It didn't get that far.
Yeah.
So
I think it was Sean and Doug just in agreement to get out in front of it and pull the cover. Then the argument becomes the bend the knee, but whole thing and apologizing and backpedaling. That's kind of another a topic, and I think we're all kind of in agreement. Like personally, we wish that people would stop apologizing, but we also understand to make things go away.
Yeah, like some battles are just not worth fighting, and I don't want to say like it's not bending the knee. It's just being strategic. Like, is this worth all the trouble to do very little?
Right.
Or is this worth everything?
And it's not Sean's battle actually to defend a point of view. So if he didn't cave, then it would seem like he is defending Doug's point of view, which, to be honest, he may or may not agree with. Mm-hmm. So, it's a lot of heat for somebody to bring on for just doing a cover for a friend. You know what I mean? Like, like how far do you go to defend somebody or to defend somebody's right? You know what I mean? To say something or to believe what they do. And also, if Sean was to try to defend it on that level, the argument would be so different, then it becomes a freedom of speech, or, then it just kind of derails a lot of things, and it becomes its own entity or its own beast. And at that point, I think it just becomes a cluster F. So it might be better just to do what Sean did, especially since it really isn't his battle. And we don't know for sure if Sean even agrees with, Doug 100%.
Yeah.
So do you guys have anything else to say on the matter? I think Joe had some stuff about a convention that we might want to get into.
If nobody's got any other comments on that topic, then yeah, I can get into that.
Yeah, you guys want to shift gears, Todd?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's go ahead.
Cool. Let's do it.
Okay, so thanks to the Mexican beer virus.
Oh, by the way, I live where the virus came from, which is Corona. My wife read on what was the Corona newsletter or whatever, that people weren't even coming into the city here because of the name, because they thought they were going to catch the virus.
Don't breathe that Corona air.
Yeah, people are silly.
Well, so on the convention front, there's been an interesting mix of reactions, and I was looking into this because C2E2, correct me if I'm wrong, Art, but my understanding is that from people who really hit the convention circuit hard, that really kicks off convention season and then it runs through the summer. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay, so different people who attended C2E2 were saying that it was really disappointing just in terms of the regulars that show up there and how much they expect to make. I know last year was disappointing for a lot of creators, so I don't know if it was down even more due to health concerns or if it's just part of a natural trend that was already in process. But the big news now is that Emerald City Comic-Con in Seattle has been postponed. The announcement was issued this afternoon at 1:30 Pacific. They've postponed it until at least July for now. They're looking for a new venue, and as of now, they still say that it's gonna happen, but I was looking into some other conventions, and I think it's really going to depend on how this thing progresses over the next couple months. It's not just going to be March. For example, South by Southwest, the huge festival in Austin, canceled completely.
Mhm.
I guess their local health organization there in Austin said that they didn't have to cancel it, but the organizers were panicked, frankly, by everything that they had gathered from other sources, so they just canceled it outright. There's on the other side of the equation, there's a couple of cons that are happening right now, a couple of smaller ones. There's San Diego Comic Fest, which started yesterday, and Wizard World Cleveland, which starts today. And I checked their sites, and there was no warnings, no public statements or anything.
I read somewhere about the, we're not supposed to say the corona, whatever, but that what they're telling like organizations that have major gatherings of people, if there's X amount of people, that they should reconsider doing it.
Okay.
So it might have to do with population and people that are going to the different shows. Because I know, what did you say? You said Emerald Con, right?
Emerald
Big
Emerald
show.
City got canceled, and South by Southwest was canceled.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of South by Southwest, but I know that Emerald City is a big show. So it might have to do with population, because if there is an outbreak, it could be an epidemic or a pandemic or whatever.
Right.
But the thing is, it's weird because you still have amusement parks open. You still have some of these places, that are open, which seem like some place like Disneyland or Knott's Berry Farm or, like these local amusement parks. It seems like they would probably get just as many, if not more, people through their gates every day as one of these cons.
Yeah, and I don't know if it has to do with the fact that those places are mostly outdoor in terms of their footprint.
Ooh, good point.
You know how the convention centers are all enclosed?
Yes, good point. And it's all like central, like air or whatever, where the air is being circulated throughout the building.
Right. And now this whole state of Washington is in near panic mode. I mean, Microsoft has asked all of its Seattle area employees, not just in the city itself, but surrounding areas, to work from home if possible. Amazon, same thing. Twitter has asked all of its employees to work from home if possible. Facebook, Seattle, and also San Francisco, asking them to work at home if possible. There was a big Google convention that was supposed to take place in May, but it's already canceled.
Yeah. Are you laughing, Zach, at Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah, that's so funny.
That's why I posted. I'm sorry, Joe. I couldn't resist.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, as far as the theme parks go, I did look into those. And what I've found so far is that the ones in Asia are shut down for sure. China and Japan, all the Disney parks over there are shut down.
Yeah, they're losing a bunch of money.
The one in Tokyo, they closed it about a week ago, and they said the closure would be at least 2 weeks, but now they're stretching that out a little bit.
The weird thing is I read that some of the hotels are still open. Like, I guess they must feel like they have less people, in these hotels, so they can keep those doors open, even though I don't know why you would stay at a Disney hotel if you couldn't go in the park. It doesn't make much sense, but
yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of films that have had to cancel shooting on location as well. Mission Impossible 7 was one. I know there's a couple others that I can't remember offhand.
were they to film in China?
Actually, Mission Impossible 7 was supposed to film in Venice.
That's weird.
And yeah, so they were supposed to film during the Italian Carnival, and they're, I guess, trying to decide if they're gonna just.
I'm sorry, Joe.
What's that?
Read the chat. Just looking at the title and wondering if Art is implying that the coronavirus came from Doug not washing his hands and then sending out comics all over the world. Thank you so much, Bill Ned. I think we needed that levity. Yeah, thank you.
That's funny. Well, if you don't get a signed book, maybe you're okay.
Yeah, maybe if somebody else packed the book. Yeah.
On the good news, though, Trump was at the CDC today, and they are releasing, starting next Monday, you can actually go to a drugstore and get a corona test.
Well, that's good. Have they still not? Can you cure it because it's like a flu or a cold, right?
Yeah.
If you get to phase 3 of this disease, there's no going back, right?
Yeah.
But there are milder cases. Kids have gotten it and gotten rid of it. And remember, the people that are dying or getting to stage 3 are ones with already affected immune systems. For instance, a lot of smokers and things like that. So, there's getting it and then there's dying from it. You know what I mean?
And my daughter said like most of the time it's just like a flu.
Right.
I mean, unless it like you said, Todd, if your immune system or you don't get help, you don't go in because people die from flus and colds, from the flu and things like that too. Similar to what you're saying, Todd. If you have a compromised immune system and you get, one of these bugs, it could be devastating.
Yeah, they're calling this, depending on which source you go to, I've seen it referred to as both a super flu, just because of how it has spread, but then also in terms of the type of virus, it's been called a sticky flu. And the reason why is that, and this is another reason why so many people think that it was an engineered virus, is that apparently for the typical person, the virus goes into the body, the immune system attacks it, and gets rid of most of it, if you have an average immune system. But then if the virus makes its way back into that same body, instead of the human body generating antibodies to the virus and attacking it and getting rid of it again, apparently the new virus that makes its way into the body somehow sticks to leftover viral cells from the first infection. And then somehow those viral cells bind to each other and becomes extremely difficult for the immune system to get rid of it.
So we should start trying to bring this back to like comic book stuff and things and not make this about this virus. So was C2E2, was that last week or is it still coming up?
No, that was last weekend.
So they didn't do anything, right? It just went off without a hitch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they still held their normal event.
Because that's, from what I hear, is like the third largest con, right? So there's like New York, San Diego, and C2E2.
Yeah.
They canceled some of their big room events where a lot of people would be in one room.
Okay. Interesting. So yeah, even they were taking some precautions there. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting if this is still as big as it is, because we have like WonderCon's coming up next month, and then San Diego after that here in SoCal. So it'll be interesting to see if if this continues, if it'll affect those areas. And you might be right, Joe. Like the reason the amusement parks aren't closed is because, it's not an enclosed environment. And there are enclosed environments in the park, but they don't hold that, that amount of people, like a comic convention or something like that. So I guess it's best to err on the side of caution. But should we give a little bit of promotion to our buddy Zach here? He's got an active campaign. Should we talk this up?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let me hear that.
Hell yeah.
I don't mind talking about this thing that I did that is cool.
I think I have a tab. Yeah, I do have a tab here. And also the link is in the description. So if you guys want to go check out Zach Bradley's new book, it's been up for a couple days. It's called Golma.
Yeah, it's Golma. We're just shortened it down to Golma. It's sweet and simple and very chunky sounding.
Okay. Let's go here and you can talk about it. Boom, boom. So you should be seeing the new graphic novel by Zach Bradley.
Yeah, and for anybody that is confused that knew about my previous campaign, this is the same book, but this is the one that's like, hey, I was wondering, how do I get it before you go to print? And I'm about to go to print, so here it is. Here's your chance to go get it before I go to print. So this thing.
Okay, so this is the same book. You're just making it available again before you go print up the copies. So if there's more copies, then you can, make your print run, bigger.
Exactly.
All right.
But people, one of the questions I keep getting asked is like, where's all the old pages? Where's all the old art? It totally got revamped. It has 100% been redone from the ground up as far as the art. And it was because of there's a part where I was like, hey, it'd be cool if I changed the style because it does a different thing, you could say like a flashback or a dream kind of sequence, and I wanted to make the art different to let you know that this was different. But what ended up happening was that I liked that art so much better than the rest of the art that I just was like, you know what, I'm just gonna redo the whole book in this style because I liked it so much better. So that's what happened.
Well, you blew right through your flexible goal, man, of $500. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about the Golma.
Okay, so Golma, it's a world built on a world. A great event happened that pretty much wiped out an old civilization similar to the flood, essentially. But instead of it totally wiping all the technology and everything out like the flood did, there's lots of weird relics and things just, all around and just waiting to be dug up and whatnot for the new people. And so they have been, for the past 4,000 years, building up their civilizations, populating the world, and they're starting to tinker with this technology, and they don't understand the ramifications of it or how it affected the other civilization before them, and they're starting to learn about it, and it's kind of this crazy quest of the main antagonist Draxel, who has really been corrupted by this technology, and he is now planning to do something kind of wild that could start another cataclysmic event to wipe everybody out. And he sees it more as a weapon, trying to control it. But as we know, with power, ultimate. What is the saying? Art, ultimate power, or corrupts absolute. Absolute power corrupts absolute, and he's losing it. And
he's absolutely corrupt, like Doug TeNapel. No, I'm just
kidding. Oh gosh. It follows these three colorful characters, which is Era, the guy with the cloak, Zora, the woman with the staff, and Borfo, the big guy. And it follows them as they go on a quest to basically stop Draxel and everything's pitted against them, and nothing's going to go correctly as they seem, and nothing is as they seem, because you get to meet a lot of really fun, colorful characters throughout the thing. If you scroll down, you can see more of the characters.
give us a highlight reel of what the campaign itself is, and then I'll scroll through some of the artwork.
Campaign is a graphic novel that currently is clocking at 100 pages.
Yikes.
Yeah, well,
but it's already done, right? Like the artwork.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty much done. The only thing I still need to do is get, if we hit the stretch goal, is to get the stuff to our guest artist, Siege, who'll be doing some pages work for me. And so yeah, it's pretty much done, and I'm slowly trickling out more art every day, and I'm trying to withhold so much good stuff because I just don't want to give it away, so people be interested in.
It's always tough. Like, you want to put the best stuff out there because you want to promote it and you want people to be excited, but at the same time, all the good stuff are spoilers.
Exactly. It's exactly, yeah.
Story for them, it's hard.
Yeah, it's real hard. So it's like I put out art that they've seen before, but it was the old revamps of the old pages, essentially. So it's like nothing too spoilery, but then I did add some new elements, which is like, that page with Draxel and that Shadow Beast. That I'm just gonna call it Shadow Beast because I don't want to explain exactly what it is without giving too much of the story away. So it's just I'm just really trying to push what I took the comic idea and I was like, how can I push this as hard as I can and do things that I haven't quite seen yet in comics. So it's a very untraditional format, and I'm really taking a lot of leeway, artistic leeway with it. And it's my passion project, so I think that I can, and I hope that people enjoy it and find it something different,
Hey, Zach, are you coloring these prints over like Siege and
Yeah, all of them were just ink ups. I have all the originals too. I'm all happy about that.
Man, I almost said I'd like to see you throw some color over one of my pieces, and then I saw this, and I was like, yeah, I want that now. Cool, man.
Hey, man, I'd be glad to color them. Color is definitely one of my favorite things to do.
This is nice.
So yeah, 100 pages. I'm going to. I was asked if I'm going to be doing a fan art section, which I will be because I do have some fan art for it from the previous campaign, so there will be a fan art section. I don't know if I'll be doing a contest. I'm gonna see what the feedback is on that in a little bit. Because
so you're close. Oh, I'm sorry, you're close to the next stretch goal, right?
Yeah, I'm close to the guest artist one.
Wow.
And then that 5,000. I really hope that I can get to that $5,000 commission though, because I've been talking to that artist and I'm really excited. I want them to do stuff. But I saw this as a really cool. I wanted to try and bring other people into the project, and as an artist, it's kind of, if you're a writer, you have to. But if you're an artist, and it's like, why would you spend the money? Why don't you just do everything yourself? Because you can save money. But the thing is, like, I want to help people and bring other people in and give other people opportunities, because I remember trying just to break into this stuff back when I was very young and naive and stuff, and having people that didn't take advantage of me and gave me a good price and let me be a part of projects and stuff was how I got to where I am right now, is having that. And I've always wanted to be able to be that person who gave people opportunities like that, which is why I'm trying to, like, most of my stretch goals are like, let me hire someone to be part of this project, because I want to bring other people into it and share my success and whatnot. And I always had this I always like the group mentality of like kind of it being a bigger thing than just, this is me, all about me. Because the origin of Golma is it was a book, and I hired 4 different writers to come up with stories, and that was a fun book to do. And so it's just, I always thought of these things as community sort of projects, and me being able to help other people in that. So
Very good, man. Well, I'm thinking that we should start wrapping it up. If anybody has any last like parting shots, hit us now. So, Joe, do you have anything to promote? Any parting shots?
Nothing to promote. Just hope that anybody who thinks that Golma looks like a cool project can back that. And best of luck to Zach.
thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah, and like I said, the link is in the description. So once you're done with the video, go down there, click on it, and check out and see what Zach's got to offer there. So, Todd, what is up? Do you have anything?
Here, I'm showing what Florida Man thinks of Zach's
Oh
campaign.
no. Oh yeah. Woo! Oh, I was scared.
We got a thumbs up from Todd.
And your expressions on the faces are always really good.
Thank you.
Especially those pages, man. Those
Yeah, Todd's
expressions are priceless.
Yeah. Todd don't mess around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, Todd, are you taking photographic reference, or are you just kind of winging these, so like the hats and the faces and stuff?
This guy I got in my head pretty good. So, other than that, sometimes I'm doing that. You know, like I don't know if you guys know who the show Moonshiners, because originally modeled Gary. This is the character that I was showing. I originally modeled Gary after. Well, I'll go back. I'll show it again. After a guy named Tickle.
Tickle Me Elmo?
No, this is a character on Moonshiners, and I'll show you a picture of him.
It's a
You want me to share the screen now?
Yeah. I'll bring in a picture. Import. Let's see if I can.
He's a Virginia hillbilly moonshiner whose nickname is Tickle.
Oh, okay. Joe knows a little bit about everything, and that's why he fits right in here.
Mm-hmm.
He's my go-to guy.
This guy.
You know, while Todd is looking for it, I'll just say that I didn't think I had something to pitch, but I kind of do. I just wanted to let people know that Eric Weathers is he's reopened a kind of a second chance Flying Fortress Remastered campaign. He had some stock that had very minor cosmetic damage that he withheld from fulfilling during the main campaign, and he's decided to let those go at a discount. So if anybody was thinking about getting Flying Fortress and missed it the first time, you could get one for a great discount if you check it out on Indiegogo.
So that's live right now?
It's live right now, and you can also get a free Andrew Huerta trading card.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Well, yeah, I can see it now, Todd. That's pretty cool, man. So you loosely base it on an actual person.
Yeah, and sometimes like I'll do a mashup of two people. You know, someone who has the right job, but some character in their face or something like that. And then once I get it stuck in my head and can replicate the person from, let me see if my Florida Man page is still up. Yeah, I think it is. So when I can start replicating that person from any angle, or at least make it believable enough, because right, it's all an illusion. Then I'm golden from there, you know.
Well, I wanna give a shout out to D Geek Art. She's awesome. So you have a good night too, and thanks for trying to help out in the chat. I appreciate it. I think Pablo Romero is helping too. So thanks, guys.
Sometimes the face gets away from you a little bit, and starts to, like, I think his eyes are a little oriental there, and I'm not happy with them. But you know, if I get the face down, then I'm pretty good. And some people it's easier with. Like I created this guy after your guitar playing sort of.
Oh, Doug.
Given
That
that,
face is a little Doug-ish.
yeah, I just wanted somebody that could easily carry some expression. So I went with sort of a big nose guy, you know.
Yeah, and his expressions are extremely fun and funny.
Oh, look at that. Yeah,
Oh, it's beautiful.
there you go.
Oh,
Ooh, me?
Basically, what he hears, he's reacting to because he puts a
Glass to his ear, yeah.
oh, uh-oh.
so,
They may be spying on somebody. I don't know.
and
Well,
that's
very good. Yeah.
when it comes to a book like Florida Man, that you got to make it fun and you know, because it doesn't slot anywhere. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to throw everything I know about making good comics at it. You know, like framing him with the black of the sign was perfect to get the focus all on him. You know, and his facial expression of you know, he's getting strangled and stuff. So the little tricks here and there. I'm doing everything I can to make it visually appealing, because this is like a book I want people to be interested in. Mike Baron has not really written anything. I can't think of a Mike Baron comic that I've read that I thought, oh, well, that was a miss. He's always written good comics, especially for DC and
Well, I loved his old Nexus stuff when they were magazine size and black and white.
Oh, yeah.
I used to get that when I was a kid, yeah.
I don't think people realize that independent comics, like a lot of people looked at, we talked about this once, right? A lot of people thought, oh, you know, the Turtles and this, that. Well, prior to all that stuff, there were companies, they were called First, Pacific, Eclipse, and they made comics, and they were by the same guys who wanted to make mature comics. And they even created superheroes that were a little bit more, the storylines were a little bit more mature.
Well,
So,
Rocketeer came from those.
Rocketeer, remember Warp?
Yeah.
Starlin did some stuff that was a little bit more mature superhero take. So, you know, the genesis of independent comics really has a bigger history than what some people think. And without Nexus selling X-Men like numbers, independent comics wouldn't be on the map as big as the thing as it is now. I don't think
I agree.
realize that Nexus sold that in the top 10 that much.
I remember there was a Nexus. Was it? You know how they have like books on tape now, and I think there was a Nexus that came with a floppy like record in it, like an old, you know, like vinyl record, but it was floppy, and you could put it on your turntable, and it read the story to you. It was pretty cool. Yeah, they did a lot of cool stuff, like independent. They did a lot of cool stuff. Well, I'm going to give my little party shot here, and then we should bid everybody adieu. And let me see. I have something I haven't shown too much of, but I need to start sharing this because we're going to launch it next week. We're going to launch this bad boy next week. There's still some details I got to take care of.
You know I'm going to feel like the first one to buy that, right, Art?
Yeah, so this is the crossover with Vampirilla and Black and White. So this is the variant cover and the campaign. I'm hoping there's still some information I need before I finish putting the campaign together, but I'm hoping that it will come out late next week. So that's the plan right now. So this is my pencils and inks, my characters Black and White, and Kyle Ritter's colors, and the beautiful, voluptuous Vampirilla. So,
Art, did you say that you gave Kyle a couple of Frazetta paintings to reference for the background?
Yeah, I went and I did some research, and when I drew it, I like ethereal kind of like Frazetta kind of backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I penciled and inked it, I left a lot of the backgrounds purposefully like kind of vague.
Yeah, I remember that.
Hinted at some stuff with some hatching and things, and then I gave him those copies, and he just went to town on this thing.
I love that.
Yeah. So this is our little homage to Frank. Mainly the backgrounds, and then kind of the mist in the foreground there. Yeah. So very cool. And then Frank would always do like a little dash of unexpected color. So I think that white's green staff there, kind of fun because it's just like this little splash of unexpected color that Frank used to always put into his work, and it really fits here. So thank you, Kyle, for giving me the hookup. And yes, this is coming out next week. I'm really, really hoping, like I said, there's a few details I need to take care of. But if I get all those things in order, then probably Thursday, Friday of next week, we will be launching this bad boy. So stay tuned.
And what's the issue that your cover's going on, Art?
Oh, you know what? I don't know. That's one of the details I need, because also I need to get the logo. There's a bunch of like little details I need to kind of bring the campaign together. Also, I need some interior pages so I can show those in the campaign as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's a couple details I need to get. Yeah, I wish I had more information, but I don't. I'm not even sure the book's out yet. So I'm not sure what issue number it is. But as soon as I know, you guys will know. So that will be cool. And also, please, I have I'm going to do a second chance black and white campaign. So there is it's in the discussion, or in the description. Sorry, in the description as well. And that is for black and white second chance. So we have about 500 of the original cover, and then we have about 200 of the Grey Capullo variants that we're going to reissue and have a new campaign and give you guys a second chance at picking up the book. Also, if you sign up now, there is a free collectible card. If you purchase or you back a tier, you will get that card if you sign up right now for that pre-launch page. Like I said, it's in the description. So please check that out. And also, Chrono Mechanics is still going strong on Indiegogo, and that's in the link or in the description as well. So there's a lot of stuff for you guys to check out. Galma is live right now, so go check that out. And Chrono is in demand, so not as pressing, but check that out as well. And then sign up for Black and White. Yes, wait, Zach has his wallet ready.
The black and white.
$1.380.
Oh yeah. Yep. As much as Mike Bloomberg gave me.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much, and thanks, guys, for sharing your wonderful art. And thanks to everybody in the chat for hanging out and giving us such great questions. It's been fun as always. Pontificators is something I look forward to every week. So thanks, guys, for giving us your time, and thanks to everybody in the Pontificator stream here. So that's Zach, Joe Thunderbuns, and Todd Mel Rooney. So thanks, guys. Have a great night. Take care.
Night.
Night.